Bret Baier just sat down with John Thune and asked him the only question that matters. You run, John Thune, the Republican majority in the Senate. Voter ID, proof of citizenship, 80 to 85% of the country wants this. The president wants this. Your own voters elected you to deliver it. So why isn't this law? And John Thune, the leader of the Republican majority, looked at the camera and basically said, our hands are tied, and that rules are rules. Folks, that's not leadership. This is literally a hostage video, and I'm gonna show you exactly why this excuse falls apart the second that you understand how the Senate actually works.
Security.
But now the president is putting another stipulation. He wants his Save America Act, which is a voter ID, although it has other provisions in it, to be attached to FISA. He had a Truth Social saying that the few Democrats, his word, are against FISA with or without Bill Pulte going to DNI as acting. What kind of deal is that? Besides, I'm against FISA if it doesn't come with the Save America Act. Full version, firmly attached to it. What do you say to the president on that?
Well,
so again, what Donald Trump is trying to do here is to attach a bill, Save America Act, that 85% of Americans across all political parties want passed into this favorite FISA bill that every RINO uniparty swamp member in Congress wants. This is allowing them to have warrantless spying on Americans. Without the FISA extension, they don't get to do that. They actually can do what they need to do, meaning spy on somebody, that they have to get a warrant each time. FISA allows the deep state to do it really easily and without asking for permission from a judge. So what Donald Trump wants to do is to take the Save America Act, attach it to the FISA extension, their favorite little pet bill in the swamp, and then we'll get things moving. Soon, not so much.
we've had the vote on the full version twice now. So the full version is 5 components, and it's photo ID, it's registration or citizenship in order to register to vote, no biological boys and girls sports, bans mail-in voting, and it does away with trans surgeries for minors, which I'm for, and a lot of us are. But that only got...
And those 5 things are fairly practical in the Republican caucus.
They are. I mean, those are things that, but we only got 48 votes. We had that vote last week on all 5 components. The only way you can get, obviously get this done is to nuke the legislative filibuster, and that is not something that we have anywhere close to the votes to do. So we've had...
That's not true at all, and he knows that's not true, and quite frankly, this whole scenario of the nuclear option on the filibuster is something that Harry Reid did in the past and that Chuck Schumer said he will do in the future. And now we have this spineless RINO leader in John Thune that's not willing to do what his predecessors have done before to get nominations through in 2013, and what his colleagues now on the other side of the aisle have said that they're going to do the minute that they take back control in the Senate. So he's just sitting here taking up space and not pushing forward this America First agenda that Donald Trump had this mandate to do. We're sitting on a Republican majority and doing nothing about it in the Senate.
Had votes. We had it on the floor. It was the pending business in the Senate for a couple of weeks. We've done everything we can to date. We'll continue to put the Democrats on record. The Democrats are voting against an issue that 80 to 85% of the American people are for, and we need to hold them accountable for that.
But the president doesn't seem to understand your math.
Yeah, and I get that. And he's very
on conversations.
Right.
See, keep in mind here, and he's real slick. He's pointing out that or trying to get us to see that the Democrats are the enemy. They're not. The Democrats are doing what they're supposed to do. The real enemy is him and his little buddies in the swamp that don't want to make any changes and want to be able to protect the decorum of the Senate versus protecting free and fair elections in the country. This is not controversial, folks. Again, 85% of Americans want it. And he's sitting here thinking that, or trying to placate and trying to convince us that it's the Democrats that are the issue. It's not. It's him.
with him.
Yeah.
How does this go over? Because
Well, I mean,
the way he types it in his True Social post, it's pretty aggressive. He thinks you should be doing more.
And he's passionate about it, and we are doing everything that we can, but it is a function of math. I mean, we are bound by arithmetic in the United States Senate. The votes currently aren't there. We will continue to put the Democrats on the record and insist on votes on this. But if you tried...
Folks, Thune is betting that you're not picking up on anything and that you don't understand basic Senate decorum. In fact, I'll give you this lesson. In 1965, the Voting Rights Act that everybody loves and that we should have passed, it was 30 votes short in the majority at that time of passing. And what the leadership did at that point is they just had a never-ending debate on the floor of the Senate until every one of the no votes became capable of voting for this bill. So something as, again, as non-controversial as the Voting Rights Act of 1965, it had 30 votes short. This one is just 10. But this spineless traitor, John Thune, is not willing to allow the Senate to debate this until we can wear those no votes down and get them into the yes column. Instead, he just wants campaign ads and, to put the Democrats on the record. He's putting himself on the record and showing America that he's a spineless leader that is not driving Donald Trump's agenda through the Senate.
To attach it, for example, to FISA, it would tank FISA. And so, we will move, once we get Clayton done, we'll move to FISA, try to get the Democrat coalition back together so we can actually pass that and put it on the president's desk. But, and we will look for votes, additional opportunities to get votes on the SAVE Act.
What about housing? You've got a deal, potentially a bipartisan, bicameral bill on housing. And there are going to be people, including the president probably, who say, put Save America on that.
Well, I think he has said that. I don't think there's a bill that's coming from...
What he's been trying to do, this is Donald Trump, is to get the Save America Act attached to anything that is in front of a vote. Because Thune is doing everything but forcing people to vote for something like the Save America bill. So Donald Trump's doing his job. The majority in the Senate isn't. And our majority leader, John Thune, needs to be replaced immediately because he's not representing what the mandate was that the American people sent him. We want America First and MAGA policies passed. Save America is one of them.
One of us that he hasn't said that on. The housing bill, carefully negotiated, what we call four corners, bipartisan, bicameral, Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate. It is an issue that directly gets at the heart of the affordability question for a lot of Americans. It creates additional supply of housing in this country, makes housing more affordable. And so I'm hoping that's something, too, that we can complete, get on the president's desk, get signed into law, and that he will do that without making additional demands that on some of these bills he has been.
How much do you think it hurts in the MAGA base as you head into November that you can't get that done to Save America?
Well, I mean, I think, again, you have to, again, it's a pure function of math.
He thinks MAGA is stupid. That's what he thinks right now, that it's a pure function of math and that it's arithmetic. It's not, folks. This is a spineless leader. This is literally, John Thune has taken hostage the Senate and allowed nothing to get through it, including the Save America Act, because he doesn't have the balls enough to get this through and to call out the RINOs. The question is why? It's because he's one of them.
And I'm sympathetic to it. I'm for it. I voted for all that stuff. Most of my colleagues and Republican colleagues in the Senate are. We haven't gotten the Democrats have block voted against it. They haven't gotten a single Democrat vote. And that's where I think you make this a campaign issue and you go after Democrats. I don't think it's helpful to go after Republicans to try and get us to do something people now know we don't have the votes to do. And
he just gave you a key piece. I don't think it's helpful to go towards and to call out the Republicans. He's spineless. He knows that America and that the MAGA coalition wants this. And he knows that come November, this is exactly what he's going to be asked why he couldn't get it through. So he's just stalling right now for the uniparty swamp and trying to say this is the Democrats' problem. It's not. This is the biggest problem he and the uniparty RINOs in the Republican Senate majority have with their reelection campaigns. They're going to get demolished.
We've demonstrated that now. We've had 5 votes on this.
How would you say your relationship with the president is now? He seems to be working a lot with Speaker Johnson. How would you characterize it?
It's strong. It's good. I mean, we have our pointed conversations. I express my views. He expresses his. Sometimes those get a little bit testy and heated, but in the end, we have a job to do, and we have an alignment of incentives. There are times when, for reasons of how the Senate functions.
Let me ask you this, because this is another key point. Why is John Thune's platform, right, his beliefs and his ability and desire to get certain bills through the Senate, why is that any different than the Republican president? Shouldn't be. And if it is, we need a new leader. He just, again, this is everything that we know about John Thune. He's uniparty, he's a rhino, he's spineless, and he doesn't represent the MAGA coalition at all.
The answer isn't always yes to the things that he wants to do, but we do everything we can to work constructively with him and his team to ensure that we are moving the country forward in a way that achieves those objectives.
Real quick, before we go any further, the reason you're hearing this take and not some sanitized version is that nobody owns this channel but the people that are watching it. No network, no party committee, nobody we answer to except for you. If you want a place where we call out the RINOs and bring common sense back to politics, hit that join button right now. A couple bucks a month keeps us totally independent and keeps us loud. And it's not a donation. That's just you keeping a real American voice in front of the patriots. Let's get back to Thune because he doesn't want you to understand this next part. So let's kind of establish something right now and have a teaching moment, because the RINOs in the Senate, they're counting on you not knowing their own rules. John Thune says the only way to pass this is to nuke the filibuster, and they just don't have those votes. That sounds reasonable, right? Well, it's not, because here's the truth. Changing the Senate's filibuster rule doesn't not take 60 votes. It takes 51, just a simple majority. It's called the nuclear option, and it's actually been used before. Reid, when he led the Democrats, he did it for nominations back in 2013. And again, the Democrats have done this multiple times. So when John Thune tells you it can't be done, what he really means is that he won't round up the votes in his own caucus to do it. That's a completely different sentence than we can't. It means I won't. It's not the same thing. And he's hoping you don't catch that little swap in his language. So who is actually blocking the Save America bill? It's not just the Democrats. The Democrats are doing what other teams always do. They're voting no. The thing that's standing between you and this becoming law is a handful of Republicans who'd rather protect Senate tradition than protect the integrity of our votes, and a leader who won't lift a finger to change anybody's mind. That's the whole game that Thune's playing. And Thune's answer of, we'll keep putting them on the record, think about what that actually is. That's not trying to win. It's not doing anything other than collecting clips for campaign ads for all of these RINOs and the Democrats. He's treating your vote like some press release. And here's why this matters, that this is just sitting in John Thune's drawer. Every cycle that this doesn't pass, the rules stay exactly as loose as they are right now. The one thing 85% of Americans actually agree on is sitting there. It's dying quietly because the man in charge of keeping it moving forward says that it's somebody else's fault. This is what people mean when they say the uniparty. Right here, this is the example. A Republican majority, a Republican president, and a wildly popular bill. And the Republican leader's big move is just to shrug it off and lecture us about the Senate rules. America didn't send Donald Trump to the White House and these fools back to the Senate just to admire furniture. The agenda doesn't drive itself. We need to keep America moving towards Donald Trump's mandate and our America First principles. And if the leader won't push it, then he doesn't need to be the leader. It's really that simple. So here's my honest take. The problem isn't that Republicans can't do this. It's that this particular Republican caucus, led by Thune, won't. And a majority leader who won't use the majority as just a placeholder, well, maybe, just maybe, it's time that we found a guy that actually wants to win the Senate. So tell me down in the comments, am I being too hard on Thune, or is it time that we have new leadership in that chamber? I want to hear it straight. I read every single comment. And if this taught you anything, please subscribe and pass it on to your friends. We'll see you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe to The Chris Locke Show for the latest America First news, conservative commentary, and the stories that mainstream media refuses to cover. These two videos right up here, they're going to be next. Pick your favorite. I'll see you over there.